answer here. Present on air. Okay. Okay, I don't see anybody changing on this window. Okay, it switched over. Ah, we got it. Look. See it?
Oh, I see it.
Now we got the screen up, and you're looking at my screen over here. So I did it, actually. So this is working with the OBS Studio. So probably I don't even need to do this anymore. I could do this. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so now I'm just using, I'm managing everything directly inside of my OBS Studio. I'm going to have to make room, scoot this over a little bit more because I need room for my OBS. I did it. Finally. Okay, everybody, thanks for bearing with us for a long journey here. If you can't see, go ahead and follow the instructions. I'll be waiting for people to join here. And I'm going to put the link down here into YouTube here so that you guys can go ahead and join in with the chat here. You'll be joining in with the Google Hangouts, essentially. Here is what you'll be doing. I'm just going to drop that in the window over here so that they can see that in the chat. Put the live chat on. Okay. He's like, well done. Thank you. Okay. OBS Studio is now broadcasting as well. Below is the link to the Google Hangouts where you can share your screen video at. Please join us. Okay, so we might be getting some people popping in here. So I'm going to keep track of the little chat over here, Ramel. Oh, and just to mention, guys, I have my friend Ramel here. She's been so gracious and waiting for me to set this up for the last hour or however long it's been, probably longer than that. So we're a little bit shooting over time this night, but I've got it under control now, where next week I know I just have to go into the live stream environment from there and then put the link in for the Google Hangouts, and people can access that, and directly we got this under control. And that means now I'm able to share my actual screen. So you should be seeing my Vice C64 screen over here. Romel, you can see that too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave it up there, like I said, for a second, wait for a few people to join here, just to make sure that we're not lagging behind some other people, and other people are like, I can't see your video or whatever. But I'm looking on YouTube, and this is proof right here that you should be seeing it live on YouTube right now. So for some reason, you're still seeing that screen in front of you. I just noticed that. Let's see, maybe if I minimize this, let's see if that went away. And I'm going to do this. Okay, it went away, but when I pull this back up, it looks like it picks the video back up here. So hold on a second here. Let me think about this for a minute. So many obstacles. Crazy. So when I do that, it's still...
Yeah, and it says...
Yeah, it's picking up the other video windows somewhere. How would it be doing that, though? OBS Studio is gigantic here, too. Make that a little bit smaller. I don't get how it's doing that. So you're seeing that on top, or are you just seeing the, let me know when you're only seeing Vice.
I see Vice.
You're seeing Vice?
Yeah.
But on YouTube, they're also seeing the big, you know what? Maybe it's because I don't have this running too. Let me see. That might have been earlier. Okay, it's good. It's good. I was looking at the video earlier, guys, so it looks like it's perfect now. I think here's what everybody should be seeing now on YouTube. You should be seeing my Vice screen and my electronic spins in the background there. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes here for a few people to join in and make sure that they're able to see everything and everything is live, and then we'll get going here. So far, it looks like we have 2 people watching. Technically, you don't know if that's me and is it Hamrabri? Sorry if I said your name wrong, but it looks like you're in the chat there. And whoever else joins in. So, yes, so what we'll be doing is waiting for people here, but at the same time, to get this underway, I'm going to go ahead, since Ramel is watching and other people are saying that they're seeing a video and I'm able to manage it from YouTube now, I'm going to start the session here, and we're going to start learning some practice procedures with BASIC. Before I do that, though, I know I had to do this last weekend. Last week, nobody could see my screen. So unfortunately, I have to repeat the same process. So this is very consistent. So in order for you guys to use this is actually the VICE C64 emulator, which emulates an actual Commodore 64 computer. And if I go grab my computer, I can show you what it looks like if you've never seen it before. And I'll switch to my video and show you, because there might be people on here that's never heard of a Commodore 64. I've actually had people work, well, what's that? You know, so it's like, I'm going to switch to my video here just for a second. Do I have to stop my screen sharing? I should be able to switch over here. Yeah, right here. Okay. Okay. Can you see that now?
Yep, I see you.
Yeah, so this is my Commodore 64. Anybody wants to know, this is the actual Commodore 64 computer. So this is actually being emulated on the actual Windows computer. You're seeing that little blue screen you saw earlier. That's the VICE C64 emulator, which was created for a Windows environment. And this is what an actual, I don't know if it's backward or not, but this is what an actual Commodore 64 computer looks like. It was created back, well, they created the original PET computers, and I think they started with the calculators, and eventually they moved on to this system. I actually started with the one called the actual C64 computer, which came out later, 64C. But this is the one I currently own, so I just wanted to show you. This is what we're going to be doing. Is this VICE C64 is going to emulate this so that we can start learning basic programming language. And of course, if you were real curious or not, you could peer inside the motherboard even. And this is what the motherboard looks like for those who are technically interested. But it's just a Commodore 64 computer. And we're going to get started on the VICE here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you. And let me switch back to the screen here. I'm going to switch back to the screen. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start learning how to install the VICE C64 emulator so that we can emulate the same computer. Because you're not going to need to own this computer, by the way. All you're going to need to do is have access to a Windows environment where you can download safely to whether it's your laptop or wherever you're at, and it allows you to download to your computer. You're good there. Now, I have to mention the device we're using does not work currently. The one I'm using doesn't work with the with the Mac environment, but it is possible to still use it. You just have to go to the screen and download the appropriate emulator. But anyways, let's move on, and I'm going to go back to the screen sharing here. That was a mouthful. Okay, are you seeing my screen again? Or does anything look wacky?
More than one.
You're seeing more than one?
Yeah.
Okay, you shouldn't. Let me go on YouTube here. I saw myself with the actual live computer. No, I saw your picture on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you're talking, your picture's picking up now. So let me click on me and see if that shows my video, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, if I go back and I share this screen, it should only show this one. Are you seeing the device again?
Yes.
Okay, we're back on track again. Okay, so I got to put my video back on so I can keep watching what's going on over here. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're all going to emulate, and let me go back and check my chat here. So we have 4 people watching, so anybody else has just joined us, I welcome you. So we're going to be downloading, and if you need to watch it at the very beginning of the video, you can always go ahead and rewind it or whatever. Since you're using we're using a live stream environment here, I'm going to show you guys how to download the VICE C64 emulator so you can get it successfully set up on your computer. Now, bear with me for those who may have already done this. We have to be very consistent with everybody who's watching, so it's fair to anybody who's brand new, especially some of my friends who said they were going to drop in from work. So that's cool. So I'm going to be very, very, very straightforward from the very beginning here. So we're going to go to Google, and Ramel, you be my guide. Are you still seeing that over there?
Yep, Google.
Okay, perfect. And then we're going to go and we're going to type in VICE download. Actually, let's just do VICE Windows download. Actually, I mentioned the other one, so I might as well be fair. VICE download. And you're going to see it'll say the Versatile Commodore Emulator. We want to click on that. You're going to get this screen, and you can go to download here. I'm doing this way for those who want to do it on the Mac OS, which is right here. You can download here from the Mac OS. This is for the Apple users, but I'm a Windows environment, so we're going to be using the Windows here. I just wanted to show everybody that. And then from here, we're going to go down until I need to shrink my screen here a little bit. It's too big. Okay. Well, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because otherwise they won't be able to see it very well, probably. Okay. I think that's pretty good right there because there might be people watching on mobile too. Anyways, we're going to go down here to the section that says binary for MS Windows 64-bit, and we're going to click on WinVice 3.1-x64. That's for the 64-bit. And 7Z is for the zip, because we're going to have to unzip it and everything here. You have a WinZip, you can use that, but we're going to actually install 7-zip here also because we have to do this very consistent step by step. Okay, so it downloads to the bottom of the window, and I hope you could see that. I'm going to shrink this down just to make sure. Okay. I'm watching this on YouTube, so I know exactly what I'm seeing this time. And also, I appreciate the patience, guys, from last week. I haven't used Google Hangouts in the longest time, so I had to get my head wrapped around it again. So thank you. Anyways, WinVice, it'll open up like this, and you just hit on the open button. And from here, I'm getting this because my trial has expired. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not going to be paying anymore for WinZip, I've already paid them enough. I'm going to be downloading a free utility here that's going to allow us to go ahead. It's called 7-zip. It's going to allow us to go ahead and unzip this. And you guys can get it too. Just type in 7-zip download. I'll try to keep track of where the video is here and who's in the chat. This is working out so great tonight. Awesome. And from here, you can just go to download, or you can download it here at the link here. Let me zoom in there in case you can't see it. Now, I've already installed this on my computer, but I'm just doing this for you guys. Download here is where you can download it. You can just click on the 64-bit version, or if you use the 32, it's right there. I don't know if there is one here for the Mac or not, but there might be. I should have probably checked that out. Let's see if there is. Yeah, it looks like there is one down here for Mac OS File Archiver or something like that. But it's going to be a Windows environment mostly, so hopefully we don't get any Mac users tonight. I have nothing against you, but it might be a little bit more difficult for you guys because we're using Windows. But hopefully, if you can get it working, then we're all on track here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on download. You see it downloading here at the bottom. And I'm watching my YouTube again to make sure it's looking good here. Okay, looks good. I can see the bottom. It's a little bit of a delay there. I'm hitting on the open. Now you'll see this saying where you want to install it. Now I've already installed it several times, so I'm just going to install it again. Like that. You can just close it. Now, what you're going to need to do is next we're going to need to pull it up on the computer here because it's going to be inside of the Windows Start menu here. So I'm clicking on my Start menu here. And I'm just going to type in 7. Should get it right there. And you'll see it pull up on the first thing. It'll say 7-zip file. So I'm going to open that. And I have to move the window over because it actually moves on the other screen here. So I'll move it into view so you can kind of see it there. Okay. And just lining this up a little bit. And from here, now that we have the 7-zip, we just want to look for our Vice file so that we can extract it and put it in its own location. So I'm going to go here to extract. And here it wants to instantly download it to your downloads folder. I mean, install it to your downloads folder, but we don't want that. We want to create a separate directory. So you want to click on the little button here on the side that opens up the browse for folder. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down here. Now I have several drives here, so I'm just going to use my H drive. You can use your C drive. That's totally fine. And I'm going to go into my own special directory I have designated for my Commodore 64, which is C64 history here. And then from here, I'm going to click on Make New Folder. So we can go ahead and create a new folder here. You'll see it'll say New Folder. And we'll just call it Vice Emulator. And since this is Basic Playground, I'm just going to call it BP. You can call it whatever you want to call it. The main thing, as long as we're getting installed. Now you'll see it appear up here. You'll see the extract area change to Vice Emulator BP. And from here, you don't have to do password or any of this. You just go ahead and click on OK. And it should install. Now it's installed on the actual computer. So that means I can actually shut all these windows down. Now I can shut this one down. And I can even shut this one down. I can even go ahead and shut this down. And we've already got our Vice downloaded. We did that earlier. We can even shut that one down. So now I'm going to go ahead and here. You could search for it. But for now, what I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to type in I don't want to do my computer. Type in, it's this PC. So if you type in this PC or PC there, it'll open up this window right here. where you can go ahead and get to it. Remember, installed and on your computer. So you guys probably, most of you will be going into the C drive here, and you'll be going into probably something like program files, and you'll be looking for it down here, the name of the folder that you created earlier. Mine, however, is in the H drive. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go into the main root, and we're going to go into C64 history, and we're going to go into the Vice way at the bottom here. And it should be showing up down right there. It's Vice Simulator. You can see all the different installations I've made of it, all the times I had to keep doing this over and over again. That's right, you can install. And for some reason I got, oh, you know what? I just skipped a vital step here. Oh, my bad. Okay, that's fine. We'll get this back up. So anyways, once you've installed 7-zip, you have to extract it. I forgot to extract it, my bad. Okay, anyway, 7-zip file manager, allow that to open. I'm pretty sure I extracted it. Did I not? You know what I didn't do? I didn't extract the WinZip file. I extracted the 7 download. That's for the WinZip download. But now we need to extract because when you download Vice, it downloads as a zip file, and we have to extract that out. So what I actually need to do is I need to actually look for it. Excuse me. So I'm just going to go here. You can click on this little arrow here in the corner to get to it here. And now we need to look for it here. It's going to appear, it should by default open up to your downloads folder. If it doesn't, you can click this little arrow here and you can navigate through your 7-zip file here. And I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click on this one. It says, it might already be here. It's at the top right here. Actually, I got several downloads already here. It'll say WinVice 3.1 64. Yours may have something to do with Mac OS if you've done Mac or whatever. But here, we're going to click on that. And then now that we got it, we're going to click on extract. And now it's going to pick that one up correctly. And earlier we created the folder. So I know I confused you guys on that a little bit there. So we did create the folder. So now we have to navigate to the folder. So you're going to need to go back into your C folder. And I'm going to go into my H folder. And I'm going to go into my main root. And I'm going into my C64 history. So I'm going back to where I created that directory earlier, which was under the, right here, Similar BP. Now, once you're here, all you have to do is click on OK, and it'll appear here. Now, if you notice it says Vice, whatever you called it here, and you know it's pointing to the C drive, you know you've done all this correctly. And down here, it's going to say WinVice, of course. And then we hit OK here. It'll now install the WinVice in addition to the 7-zip we did earlier. This is going to take a while for some reason. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so now we're successfully, now if you go back over to your folder here, you'll see it magically appeared here already because Windows already detected that you installed it. So all you really have to do, and if you close this out, you can just go ahead and open it back up here. You can go down here and you can just type in my example, I'm typing in PC. The Mac is probably going to be different, but here, the PC, and you just hit the PC window and it opens up here. You're going to get the same window I have here. You just have to navigate through, your C directory, your program files or whatever, and you have to look down here, scroll down and look for your Vice, the folder you created. Well, mine's right here. So I'm just going right here. I'm double clicking into it, and you'll see the one we want is called X64EXE. And what you want to do is you want to right click on it, and you probably want to run it as administrator because you may have some problems if you don't. I always run it as administrator so that it launches it. And like that, we launched it. Now, I technically have 2 Vice windows open here, and I'll show you. Let's say, oh, you know what it did? I think it overrode my other one. Or, no, here it is. So I have 2 of them open. This is the one we just downloaded. This is the original one that we were working with. But I did that just to show you guys to make sure. And it's probably good I did this just in case this one does not emulate a keyboard. That's another thing I should have explained earlier, and I fell behind on trying to do that here because I'm doing 100 things at once here. So let me open this up for a second here, and I'm going to go back here. Bear with me a second here. I go into the marathon images. I think it's right. Yeah, it's right here. Okay, I got it. That's right here. Can you see that too, Romel?
Yep.
Okay, this is really important because if you're using an emulator, the reason why I was showing you all that stuff earlier with the Commodore 64 is the Commodore 64 has its own style of keyboard versus the type on the Windows. And sometimes if you download something here and you're trying to find a certain key and you're typing, you can't find it, it's because your keyboard is set up in a different type of environment. I think they call it a QWERTY environment or something like that. I'm going to try to zoom in here a little bit and see if I can maybe make this full screen here. And this is going to be the keys where you're going to see them in correspondence to the actual Windows environment. So if you're looking for something and you can't find it on your Windows environment, it's because it may be in a different area. Now, I don't really have a place where I could show you where I got this on the internet. It's just a screenshot I did. Later, I'll try to include this on my website to kind of give you guys a better guide. And bear with me. We're still working through this. As this will get better and better, I promise, over time. I know I'm a little bit unprepared. I had to get myself underway. I had to use my friend Ramel here to kind of guide me along, make sure my audio, everything was working. But we're going to get this all working eventually. And eventually this will be a smooth flowing operation where you can all jump into a chat. I could switch out to your screen and I could share my screen and we could go back and forth and hopefully we get all the audio working. That's the dream here, is to have, 10, 20 different people at once, and I'm communicating with them all at once. But I also realize I'm going to be communicating with people through chat too. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things going on. And also, we only got 5 people watching because I didn't do any special promotions, but I didn't want to do that until I got everything really working. So sometime probably this week, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to create a promotion for next week. So that'll generate a lot more people. We'll see it throughout the week and we'll get more people even on board next week. So thanks for bearing with me on that. But this is going to be the keyboard environment if you're lost here. Now, I don't fortunately have a way I could probably stick this on the screen where you could see it at all times. I wish I did. Like I said, maybe there's a way I could squish it or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's still hard for people to see the screen if I do that with it, Ramel, because I got this bigger one in the background here. So they'll be like, I can't see what you're doing. And I don't want to have the screen roll small like that. It'd be hard for people on mobile to see it. So anyways, you could probably get it on YouTube or something, not YouTube, on Google or something. I would probably type in, what I call it, Vice Commodore keyboard or something like that. That might pull it up. And I might find it here, actually. Let's see. Just a quick, I think I might have got it on the Vice site somewhere, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's go to images here, see if I can grab it. I think I just found it. So here's what I did to find it. You guys want to type that into Google? It's like I'm on it tonight, Ramel. Somehow. Wow. So if you want to type in Vice Commodore keyboard, you're going to get the same one I have right here. This is it right here, actually. There's different ones. There's one for the 128, the C64, but this is the one right here. I'm pretty sure I made the screenshot on. Oh, actually, right there. You can see that one better than the one I got there. See? It's the same thing. So now you can see that this is going to be the emulated difference. So I'll leave that open in window, and I'll put that link down here in the YouTube for those who want to take a look at it. I just closed my YouTube again. Okay. All right. I'm trying to keep track of 100 windows here at once. It's crazy. All right. All right. Anyways, bear with me a second here. Oh, it's probably right here. Let me see. Is it this one? It's this one. Okay. I'm going to switch this over here, and I'm going to drop this into the thing here for these people. Now, somebody's throwing me a suggestion out here. I'm going to see what the suggestion is here real quick. Might be easier to use the relative keyboard mode in Vice to have it remap closer to an ISO keyboard. Yeah, that's actually a good point. And that's why I downloaded both versions of Vice. Just in case I have the wrong one, I can easily switch out and forth between them, but I've already downloaded these things 100 different times. So thanks for that, Chris. I appreciate it. And here's that link for those who want to see it to the device simulator there. So thanks for bearing with me. I think we could probably get everything underway unless there's anybody else that's stuck on something. And I'm sure Ramel's been anxious waiting this whole time, and everybody here. So I appreciate your patience as we work through this crazy fiasco, right? Okay. So with the Commodore 64, you have, once you have it open, go ahead and open up your Vice and get them on the screen as soon as you can, guys. Hopefully I don't get too far ahead of everybody. You can always go back and watch the YouTube video if you need to. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to demonstrate some simple commands. So for right now, I'm going to reset this. I'm going to go up here to the file. You may not see this. Do you see that, Ramel?
Yeah.
You do? Reset. You see that? And then you're going to go to hard. And that'll do what's called a hard reset. And it'll erase everything on the Commodore 64. And you're starting essentially from scratch. So I wanted to have people do that so that we can all be on the same page.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like there's a slight delay on YouTube there again. Now that we're at the very beginning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my color on. Just type in this command here, and then you'll turn on the text color. This is called a poke command, and what it's doing is it's accessing the Commodore's chipset so that it could go ahead and access what are the functions that control the text color on the background for the computer's background colors. And if you also were curious, for those who are beginners here, you can also change the background color with this command. I showed this to Ramel last week here, but this poke 53281 is accessing another internal memory location in your Commodore 64 that controls the background color. If I set it to 0 there, you'll see my screen turn black. You can change up to 15 different colors here. Some of these are probably going to be really ugly looking. But I just wanted to demonstrate those to you. If you find one you like, you can just stick with it. I'm just going to go ahead, and this is the default, I think, right there. I just wanted to show you how they work here. And I'm also using my arrow keys to move up and down, backward and forward here. And just to test, I think I'm using, yeah, I'm using the QWERTY keyboard there. Okay. You'll see, if I go back past 15, they'll start over. You can try that too if you want, Ramel. You see how that one turned blue? So now the border color and the background color are the same. This will turn it back to black, or the white. I'm sorry, and then 16 will turn it back to black, or 17. Oops, I went too far. Uh-oh. Let's see here. I got to type blindly here for a minute. Color background was on. So I go to 16, and it's back to black there. I went to 17, and it turned the background to white. And because the text was white, you couldn't see anything there. So there's your black background. You could clear the screen with this command. You want to type this on the computer there. This is just accessing what's called, as I mentioned this to Ramel earlier, it's called an AXI character, or the old Commodores called them the pet AXI characters. It's a character set in your Commodore 64 computer that keeps track of various things that's going on. And I'll show you, I took some photos here earlier to kind of demonstrate what's going on. And first we'll issue the command here, which will clear the screen here. This is actually the AXI character set. I'm going to try to get this on the screen as best as I can. Can you see that okay, Ramel?
I can.
Okay. And this one's actually for the VIC-20 Commodore 64. So these are the internal character set characters we're going to be learning about hopefully sometime today here. If you look down here and we go down to 147, I may have to go to page 2 here. Let's see. Oh, please tell me I can go to page 2. Oh, I may have to pull up page 2 then. Okay. So I'm going to get to page 2 here, right here. I have to go back here. Sorry. I put it in another. It's going to open up another screen here. I'll just grab that one over. Okay, this one actually put the arrows on there, so I was trying to get the other one to do. Okay, there we go. So now we're looking at there's 255 AXI or pet AXI characters here. And if you look at 147 here, I'm zooming in on it. Do you see what it says there?
Clear.
Clear. That means it's going to clear the screen when you're issuing that command. So likewise, if you use print CHR strings 144, try it right now, and what it'll do is it'll change your background cursor color for you. Actually, I'm going to need to reset my screen color here. It's going to turn off the color, and I'm not going to be able to see it. So I'm going to switch to a different color here. So when I switch it, that it doesn't turn off the text color too. And I knew I was going to forget that command again. Which one was it? It was 144. I'm just demonstrating over here. 144. Now, it turned my text color black, so I'm going to turn it back on here. Or what happened here? Let's see. There. All my text just turned black, and I'll show it to you by turning it on the screen and making it white instead. Or actually, right there. See? It turned all my text black. That's why I didn't see anything in the background. But that's what this command does. It controls the black color on your Commodore 64. Now, there's one assigned here for, I think, all the individual colors, if I'm not mistaken here. You'll see them down here. Can you see that too? Okay, Ramel?
Yeah.
These are the other characters. You can control the cursor up key, the cursor, the reverse off. This is another session. We can go over the insert key, the brown key. This is light red. So if I use, was it 96? Should turn red there. Oh, wait, it wasn't 96. Which one was it? It was, yes, 150. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. 150 should turn it red here. So it's white currently, and this should turn my cursor red. See how it turned red now? So that's controlling the red color on a Commodore 64. And any of these that you could control, if you wanted to make it green, I could use 159, for example, and make it green. So it turned green now. So any of these, I could make it yellow with 158. And this is just showing you this so that you'll understand later when we get in AXI characters what's really going on here. So I'm going to turn my color back on here to white again. All you're really doing is you're just controlling that memory location you saw on my screen there, 646,1, which controls the background text color here. I'm going to jump over to my chat here, make sure nobody's getting stuck on anything here. Somebody else is providing. Thanks, is it MC Harabri, for giving people tips. I appreciate that so much. For those in the chat. And if you want to continue doing it, I appreciate that so much. You're really helping out everybody there. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on to, I'm going to get my screen colors restored back here. Oh, I didn't show you the border color, but if you want to see the border color, it's this one right here, 53280, and I think that's the one he put in the chat. I'll use your example here. So right there, it changes the background border color there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate some. We did this last week, but nobody saw this, so I'm going to have to go over this again, which is going to be a little bit longer video than I wanted to be. But I'm going to show you the order of operations. We're going to learn some math commands, so we may not get to the AXI character. Sorry, Ramel. I knew we were going to try that, but technically what I showed you earlier about the AXI characters, those are the AXI characters. So I did show you a little bit of it. I just didn't show you everything I wanted to show you, because if you hold your key down here, you'll see there's special characters here, and you can access those by holding down your shift key. So you can try that if you want. Those are your AXI characters on your keyboard. They can be used to draw stuff. I don't know. And if you hold down the control key, you're going to get more. So if you want to play with that, you can go ahead. But what I want to do is I want to move on to teaching them some basic math skills here for those who are very beginner, because there's might be some of my friends in here too watching. And if they've never done basic programming or haven't done it in a while, it's going to be very intimidating. So what we're doing is we're going to be using what's called immediate mode, and we're not going to be writing probably any programs right yet. But the Commodore 64 can respond instantly to any commands you type on it. So if you type the word print and you hit enter, for example, it'll just leave a blank space. You just told it to do a carriage return with nothing else. Now, everything after this print statement is going to be called parameters, and we can actually do stuff over here on this side here. And since I mentioned math, we're going to be working with some math, but we're just going to work with some simple numbers for now, just to get you guys in the role of how this works. So you can pick any number you want. I'm going to pick 10. And if you want to do that, you print 10, you'll see it prints 10 on the screen, right? So you can use your arrow keys to move back and forth, and you can pick another number if you want. I'm going to pick 210, and you'll see it instantly replaces it with 210. All it's doing is just echoing that number back to the screen exactly as you typed it. So anything you type in here is going to be responsive to this screen, because the Commodore 64 is just emulating whatever's after that, and it's sending it to a token array, and it basically is sending it to the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to learn about some basic math here. So we're going to go back and let's practice our clear screen. I showed it to you earlier, but I might have went too fast. Print CHR strings 147 like that, and it'll clear the screen. For those who also want to save on typing, you can do this one too, with just a question mark in front of it, which also serves as a print statement. Does the exact same thing. So I won't use the question mark, so we'll keep it simple here. What we're going to do now is we're going to do some simple math. Now, before we get into math, really importantly, it's real important to learn about this. Do you remember what that stands for, Mel?
Yes.
Tell them.
Oh, let me look it up. I remember.
Okay. Well, she's looking it up.
Wait,
okay.
I got.
Go for it.
You want the sentence?
Yeah. What does the word stand for?
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
She's got it. So what it is, it's an acronym for this. I'll write it out. Parentheses. These are your parentheses right here. I'm just going to use my arrow keys. Exponents. Your exponent, I used to use the delete key to get to the exponent. Multiplication. And that one's going to be that one. And then we got division. Division is just a slash sign. It's where your question mark is there. That's going to be your division. Addition, that's just going to be your plus sign. And then subtraction. And that's going to be your minus sign, of course, just like that. So if you guys want to take a minute to make a note of that, I'll pause there for a second. Okay, you can always go back and watch the video again. I just wanted to pause for people to catch up for a minute there. So the reason why this is important, if you remember very basic math, the Commodore 64 and pretty much any programming language out there is going to follow these rules. It's called the order of operations because these are all being taken in a certain order. That means when you first create a print command, which you'll see here in a minute, it's going to do this. It's going to look and see, do you have a parenthesis going on? And if you have a parenthesis going on, I need to look inside there first. Next, it's going to look at what's called the exponents, and that's you see the symbols right next to here. It's basically it's a power raised to a number. Then after that, it's going to look at multiplication, right? And it's going to look at division after that. Then it's going to look at addition, and it looks at subtraction last. So I'll make a screenshot in case somebody needs to re-see that again so that we don't lose that. And I could get in the habit of kind of keeping track of things for people here. So I'm going to clear the screen again here. And we're going to start working some order of operations. We're not doing any programming yet, though. We're still doing in what's called the immediate mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our parenthesis. Now on mine, because I'm using the old funky keyboard here, I have to actually do Shift 8 to get to my keyboard. Remember I showed you the Commodore 64 keyboard earlier, and the keys are shifted over. So that unless you're using that exact what do you call it, the eye mapping or whatever to the keyboard, it's going to look a little bit different. He said to remap closer to the ISO keyboard, as Chris mentioned. But anyways, however you're going to get to it, just go ahead and, do the parenthesis. Do you got that okay, Romel?
Yep.
Okay. And then we're just going to use any number. I'm going to use 8. Now, you don't have to do spaces or anything. So we're just going to, and the next exponent, I'm going to use the exponent since it is the next one in line here. I'm going to hit my delete key there. Actually, no, I'm just going to do this backwards. 2 to the power of, since this is more binary, I'm going to do 2 to the power of 4, which is 2 to the power of 2. And then I'm going to close it with the other parenthesis like that. So do you see that? Now, you're probably going to get stuck for those who are not knowing where this is. If you look at the keyboard map I printed out earlier, on that display there, you should see where the power is located if you're not emulating the keyboard exactly as it was. And I think I lost that window again here somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so it's right here. If you look on the keyboard, this is where I'm finding it. Did you find it, Romel? If you hit the delete key, if you're using the right version, it should be right there. It should be somewhere close to that.
Delete, insert.
Yeah. It's going to be, you see where the keyboard layout here is?
Yeah, end page.
I'll zoom it in a little bit more there. That's about as much I can zoom it in with before it goes off the screen.
I'm on a Dell, if that helps.
Well, on a Dell, do you have, yeah, that's a good point because people could have different keyboards. Do you have the center section next to your numpad keyboard?
No.
You don't? You don't have like a center insert home, page up, page down? It may not be in the same area.
Those are up at the top.
Okay, so look for the one that says delete on it.
Okay.
And press that. Did that pull the arrow up?
No, it just deleted. Oh, on shift?
No, you should just, I just have to press mine. Yours may be different. I have the original one downloaded here. I can look at that, see what it does differently here. Or did I close it? I might have closed it.
That didn't help.
It didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay, here's the original one. I think this was the original one. Let me see if this is it. Okay, yeah, this one's functioning just like the regular keyboard. So let me see if it's on one of the actual, since I got the keyboard here in front of me, I can look at that too. Okay, so on the actual Commodore 64 keyboard, it's going to be right next to the asterisk character. So it's going to be somewhere close to that. Let's see if I can emulate this for a minute here. So it's a 2. Yeah, this is doing some weird stuff here. Amy wants to help me out here. I appreciate it very much here. Let's see here. I'm just looking at my Commodore 64 keyboard to see how close this would be to the keys. Okay. It might be one of these are the plus and equals. Watch it end up being something like, do you have a numpad keyboard?
I do.
It might be a numpad. Let's see. I'm just playing with those keys right now. Make sure your numlock keyboard, numlock character is on. Mine is not responding to that. I just noticed it doesn't work with the numpad keyboard. Okay, so we can ignore that. So, well, we may not be able to go over exponents until I can figure out how to get everybody on the same page with that. Exponents are not going to be really important for all the basic stuff, and I don't want to, expose a lot of time on that. I just shifting, trying other things here. Let's try these inserts up, inserts down. Just doing some really weird stuff here.
Well, wait, on my number 6, on above that one, it looks like a little TP. What character?
Oh, you found it. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you just explained it, Ramel. It's emulating your Windows keyboard is what it's doing, the one you downloaded.
Okay, it's up on not my numbers keyboard, so numbers on top of the letters.
I'm going to close this one out, and we're going to use this one instead. Sound fair?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Thanks. See, that's why I need somebody out there to kind of voice me in and tell me what's going on, because I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. So
it's not the number pads, it's the numbers above the letters.
It is. I was just clearing my screen here and getting everything set up here. Yeah, you got it. So if we go to the 2 to the power of shift 2 right there, now we're back where we started. Earlier we did the parenthesis though, so let's do the parenthesis, which responds directly to the parentheses. So yeah, I'm so glad that everybody, so she downloaded the right one. I hope you guys downloaded the right one. Let me see what everybody else is saying here. Okay, so this guy said he's not with his 64. Okay, anyways, let's go back here. And I'm going to do 2 to the power of 4. You got that now, Ramel?
I do.
Okay, if you hit enter there, you should get 16. And actually, I probably said that wrong earlier. I said 2 to the power of 2. It's actually 2 to the power times. Wait. Now, where would my times be? So, in a second here. Times should be right here. Times 2. Times 2 times 2. So it's 4 in a row there. So see how it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16, because 2 to the power of 4 is 2 4 times itself. Make sense? Or did I lose anybody here? Somebody else was like, try page up. Like, okay, we're good. We're good now, Chris, because I'm back on the regular Windows emulated Vice keyboard, and I just closed down the other one. Are you okay, Ramel?
I'm trying to be.
Okay. Did you see what I was just doing there? 2 times 2.
Oh, I got it.
There. 2 times 2 is 4, right?
Yeah.
And you need to say print 4 times 2 is 8, right? And then print 8 times 2 is 16. That's all it's doing. It's just erasing that number by itself 4 times. Okay. I'm going to clear the screen again here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next exponents here. Multiplications. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so we're going to use some new numbers here. I'm just going to use 10 for starters there. And we're going to move on to the multiplication. All you have to do is hit the Shift 8, or those who are using the other keyboard, it's going to be in a weird position. It's next to your P key. It's like 2 over there to the right. Hopefully you're using the same one we're using now. If not, I'll eventually try to get everybody on the same page. The website will make it so much more easier later. Once I put this on the website, you'll be able to follow this better, because I'll be explaining the keyboard and I'll put on all the links and everything. So anyways, I'm doing inside of parentheses now, I'm doing 10 times 2. So if you guys want to type that. What's 10 times 2? Okay, so if we hit enter, you'll see 10 times 2 is 20, right? Because 10 times, or 10, I'm sorry, 10 plus
Ooh.
10 is 20. I was losing myself there for a minute. What happened?
Nothing. I figured it out.
Okay. So you see how it's just emulating the numbers over and over again?
Yeah.
You may not know it also, but you're also learning binary right now. Because you're counting in powers of numbers earlier, that's how binary is actually accumulating numbers. That's how a binary digit is made up, by putting all those numbers together with a total sum. But anyways, we're going to go now on, and we're going to start tricking you guys. But first, I wanted to go through all the actual order of operations so we don't leave anything out. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. And here, to keep myself on track here, I'm just going to put my PIMDOS up here. My teacher used to do this in math class. She used to always like write PIMDOS on the board when we were learning order of operations, so the class wouldn't get lost. So I'm doing the same thing there. So I'll try to keep that on the screen. So the next thing, we can just pick any number you want. I'm just going to pick 12. I'm also using odd numbers so that we don't end up with floating point numbers and stuff like that, which are essentially decimal numbers. And now I'm going to use the multiplication. Not multiplication. I'm sorry. See, that's why I need it. Division. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 12 divided by 6. And we're going to keep it in the parentheses again. And obviously, if you know what 12 divided by 6 is, pretty obvious, right? All we're doing, we're just learning how to use the Commodore 64 as a calculator right now. So 12 divided by 6 is 2, right? And we're also executing everything inside of our parentheses, so we're still following our order of operations. Okay, so to kind of move on here, next I'm going to go ahead and see, now I want to use the old keyboard style. I'm so used to the old keyboard, I'm like looking and trying to hit the shift and 9 and all that. Anyways, we're going to now move on to the next step, which will be our division. That's when I started to get to earlier. So I went to multiplication. No, I went to division. I'm sorry, addition. So going to addition now. And for addition, I'm just going to pick another number. You can pick a bigger number if you want, for example. I'm just going to pick 100. And we're going to hit our shift plus key. And then, for example, I'm just going to pick like an even number again. Like 50 is good. And then I'm just going to hit enter. And it's going to be 100 plus 50 inside of the parenthesis again, which is 150, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our subtraction, which is the last step. We can finally get on to the real fun stuff. So I'm just going to pick like a really big number this time, just to show you how this thing can really get really big numbers there. So you don't want to make them too big because it's going to start doing some really weird stuff. If you make it too big, it goes into floating point math and all that. So I'm going to use 200,000. I think it'll take that number. Hopefully not without a floating point. It might end up floating pointing me here, but we'll see. And I'm just going to say minus $10,000. That'd be a nice round of money to have. Heck, I'd take the deduction on that too. You can drop that in my account anytime you want. So $200,000 minus 100. If I did that right, I think I put $10,000. Okay, let's do that. So that's 190,000, right? Or 190,000. And you notice it just basically sets the zeros to its side. It's not like if you're trying to write it where you put the commas in, but you just imagine the commas are there, you know, and it's pretty much the same thing. And later, in later sessions, you'll learn how to start inserting what I just did there, which is basically inserting what's called concatenation inside of your numbers that allow them to kind of basically chain them together. And you might want to do that if you're creating, for example, like a calculation program or a counting program or something like that. But for now, we just wanted to go through the regular PIMDOS so we can get on with the fun stuff. And this is very important to learn, like as I mentioned at the very beginning, because order of operations is going to be seen all over basic programming. And you're going to see it all over any kind of language you're writing in, whether it's C++, C#, Java, and you're using any kind of math, you're going to come across it. So it's important to know that. Now we're going to spin you a little bit up here. We're going to have a little bit of fun here, right? So we're going to remember those rules at the top: parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And now I'm going to try to trick you. So I'm going to start working with some simple math here. We'll start it simple, right? We're going to say 2, and I'm just going to pick any one of these, times 8, and then I'm going to do something like this, plus 4. Now, before I hit enter, before you guys hit enter, what do you think the answer will be? Now look at it real carefully. Follow the rules. Parenthesis. You first want to go inside the parenthesis, right? You want to multiply 2 times 8. What is 2 times 8, Romel?
16.
Okay. And then if you add 4 to that, what do you get?
20.
Yep. So if you hit enter, you'll see she's right. See, I just basically performed this order of operations by taking the parenthesis result, and then after that, it moves on to the remaining exactly in that order. So anytime you're seeing a long formula, I'm just going to give you an example here. This is probably going to give me an error or something here, but I just wanted to give you an idea. And if we raise it to the power of 2, it's probably going to be a crazy number here. It's going to still take that order, and it's going to always accumulate everything inside of those parentheses first before it does the raising to the power of 2. Now, likewise, if we did it this way, and we did it without the parentheses, which we'll try that now before we even do anything here, and we raise it to minus, let's say minus 5. I'm going to try to trip you up here a little bit here. Let me see here. So let me think of something here for a minute. So let's say 10 minus 5, like that. And then we're going to say times. See, now I want to hit that every time. Times. So 10 minus 5, and then we're going to say times, let's see here, 2. And then we're going to say plus. And we're going to put in parentheses here. And we're going to say 5. Let's say 5. Let's say 12. We'll just use the regular one. 12. Oh, I got it one. 24 divided by 8. There you go. Now, this is why order of operations is important to know. So I'll put the PEMDAS back up here on the screen so you guys can keep track of that. Let's go erase some lines here there. Now, look at the order of operations again here. Now, I may get it wrong this time because I got to really watch what's going on. Because first, what we're doing is we're calculating inside the parentheses. And I have a feeling we're going to end up with a funny number here, but we'll see if I did it right. So what's 24 divided by 8? I'll do it up here. 24 divided by 8 is 3, right? So the first thing it's doing is it's going to change this to a 3. So, and if I can go down here a little bit without showing you the answer, let's go down here and just kind of do it like this so that people can follow what's going on step by step here. Oh. See, now I want to do that every time. Okay. So it'll look something like this if I did that correctly. That look right? Okay. So that's what the first done is it first accumulated that result inside the parenthesis. Now, remember our PIMDOS, which ain't going to stay on the screen now. I just have to keep going back in here and retyping it every time. What's the next thing you need to do? What do you think it is, Romel? I don't mean to put you on the spot if you don't know.
Parentheses.
We did the parentheses already.
Okay, then I have to do.
Look at the order of order of operations.
Exponents. And
There's
then
no exponents.
5 times 2.
Okay, so she's right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply it 5 times 2. And I hope I don't lose track of my original one here. I think I'm going to write it down because I know if I lose it, I'm going to look like an idiot here. So I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper here somewhere. Where's a piece of paper when you want it? Because it's going to scroll off the screen if I don't. So I'm going to make sure I'm on track with what I'm talking about here. So 100 times 4. Oh, that's not the right one. Okay, it's one below that. So print. You guys could take a 5-minute here. I'm just going to go ahead and write this one right here above. So it's 10 minus 5 times 2 plus 24 divided by 8. Okay, so I wrote it down. Now I have to keep track of it there. This scrolls off. We're still good. Okay, so she already gave us the answer for that. So it's going to take the 10 next, since that's the next order of operation, which again, see, we lost our thing again. There's only so much room on the Commodore 64 screen. It's 40 characters from this side to this side. I think it's like 23 or 24 deep. I forget the exact. But if you count with your arrow keys, it'll tell you how deep it is. But anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate that next one in order without hitting enter before we get the result here. And we're going to calculate 5 times 2, which is 10, as she said. And then we're following the same. And this is exactly how they taught me in math class. And then we're going to go like that now. And we're not going to show you the answer yet because we have something else we have to do. What's the next step? No.
Exponents? No.
Just remember PEMDAS. I'll put it back up there.
Addition,
So what's left of our thing here?
subtraction.
What's 10 minus 10?
What do we do? Do we do multiplication first? Oh, no, we do division.
Yep. We're following the order of operations. I might get it wrong myself, but this computer is always going to figure it out, which is why I kept it up here. But I'm trying to follow it in order to make sure we do it right. Somebody's probably going to call me out if I get it wrong, I'm sure, but that's right. So what's 10 minus 10?
0.
Plus 3.
13.
No, plus 3. Look what I just wrote.
Oh.
What is that? What's 0 plus 3?
3.
Yeah. So now you'll see 3 here. Now, if I go back up here, if I did it right, it should be 3. If not, I did something wrong. 3. Wow. Scared myself for a minute. I didn't think I was going to get it. See, it's basically taking that in order of the PEMDAS, and it's always going to follow that rule no matter what you're doing. And this is important, especially when you get into what are called variables, which we'll learn about later for those who don't know it. Ramel already learned about a variable, but it's basically taking like a letter and assigning it to a number so the computer can keep track of it for immediate calculations. You can use them in loops and all kinds of funny stuff, as I showed her one time. Mm-hmm. So following that rule will always be golden, and also will help you whenever you're doing accounting programs, trying to figure out what's going on with your crazy math. You could always break them down like I showed you, and that's why I showed you that. And I felt my math teacher was excellent for teaching us that way, because fortunately my pea brain wasn't scheduled for that when she first started showing it. I'm like, what? You know, so I had to kind of pick up on it. I'll admit I wasn't the greatest in math. So, but eventually, you know, I got better over time. So anyways, with that rule, you're always good. So you follow the order of operations. So just to repeat it here again, parenthesis, which is up here, right? That's our first one. And then the next one we're going to see, is there any exponents? There's no exponents, and that's that raised power we saw earlier. We're going to go to multiplication. So it would do our multiplication. So here it would take the 24 divided by 8, do that first. Then it would take the 5 times 2. It would do that second. And then as we look at the order, we're going to take the division. Now that's 5 times 2. And there's no division. I didn't do division on this one. I should have actually, no, I did do division. Division was over here. But since it was already inside the parenthesis, it skipped that step because it's only looking and going to do the parenthesis first. Now, if somewhere out here I did a division outside of the parenthesis, it wouldn't have done that until later. So it's always going to keep that order. So if you always look inside the parenthesis, I guarantee you, you'll be on track with everything. Always look inside the parenthesis. I can't stress that enough. Parenthesis first. My teacher used to actually say that. Parenthesis first. So with that order, then the next step would be the addition, which would be right here. So that's, we had the 5 times 2 plus the 3 that was remaining here. And then, of course, we ended up with the 10 minus 5. And then that was subtraction on the last one. And as you saw down here in the order that we got our result of 3. So 3, right? Okay. Woo. Okay, so that's order of operations. What I wanted to move into, if we haven't spent too much time on this, and I'm 57 minutes in right now, so I'm pretty close to my time here. But I wanted to go into a little bit over on this video because it did take a little bit longer to get set up today. So I might go over maybe 15 minutes unless somebody decides that they want to watch a little bit longer. Obviously, my time and Ramel's time is kind of set for the night, so we can't really be up late tonight. But I wanted to go into what I was talking, and we're going to write, I almost forgot, we're going to write our first basic program. So with the basic program, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be entering this in the computer's memory so that it can store it, where you could save it and run it. And I'm going to introduce that right now. So I'm going to clear my screen here. See, now I want to use those keys every time. Okay, so you clear your screen. Now, if you had something in memory, you could type this command. It's called new. This would erase your computer's memory. Always remember that. Because if you want to write a new program, you want to erase what's currently in its memory. But I'm going to go ahead and move into the programming part here. So we're going to type in first the number 10. You can start them at 10 or whatever you want to start them at here.
Wait, what's the keys for the clear the screen again?
Oh, the clear of the screen? Okay. Is you can do question mark, CHR string, which is a $sign.
Or
147. Remember that earlier example I showed you with back here?
Okay, I just had to write it down.
Okay, that's perfect. That's
Good,
going to clear the screen. And then now we're going to type in 10. And I didn't show you this one yet, Ramel, but this is really important for programming. We want to set comments in our program when we can so we know what's going on. And if I did show you this, excuse me, it's called a remark. So you just type the command like that, REM, short for remark. And anything you want to call it, we could just say, since this is the basic playground, I'm going to call it C64 basic playground, like that. And you just hit enter. Now notice when I did it, it didn't do anything, right? Usually you see a number result on the screen because now we're entering a program into the computer's memory. And it won't run until we actually use the word run, which you'll see here in a minute. But what I'm going to do next, I'm going to type the next line here. And I'm just going to type 20. And you can use this one right here. This is a shortcut, by the way. Hit the shift key like that with a semicolon. It's just another way of doing a comment without putting anything after it. It's pretty popular for Commodore 64. Or you can just type this by itself. Either one works, but I think this one probably takes up less memory. It's got less tokens on it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type in our command we already learned about. Print CHR string 147. So we can tell the computer now immediately to clear the screen every time, and I'll introduce this right now. So now that we got a program in memory, before we run it, I want to show you another command. Type in LIST, that's list, and hit enter, and you'll see the program you just typed. So even if you erase your screen, like so, I am so used to the other keyboard, and you type in list, you always see it's in memory. Now earlier when we were typing in media, you notice I had to type stuff over and over again. Now you don't have to. It's always going to be in one place, and you can always go back and change it over and over as many times as you want to erase it. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the next line here, and I'm probably going to need to introduce you to variables. We'll just briefly get into variables. I don't think I'll go real overboard with this, but a variable, as I mentioned earlier, is a way of keeping track of a number in the computer's memory. Just to keep this interesting, I thought I would introduce a variable. The Commodore 64 can remember single variables like that, or can remember double variables like that. Now, if you type them any longer than that, it's only going to see the X1. Very important. I learned that mistake too many times and messed up my programs doing it. So for the first thing, I'm just going to just type in, I'm just going to put XX like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to type the equal sign after it like that. And we're just going to create a number. Since we did our order of operation, and I wrote that down here earlier, I'm just going to start with that one, for example. And I'm going to put them in the order as they were printed on the screen. So we're going to type something like that. XX equals 10. Let me know if I lose you guys on it. If I lose you, Ramel, I'm sure you'll keep me up here. Mm-hmm. Next, we're going to type in another semicolon, because what we're doing is we're going to keep this all on one line so we don't have to create 100 lines for it. And we're going to create a new variable. And actually, I probably should call that one something different. I think I'm going to call that one, since it's going to use the subtraction, I'm just going to call that S1 for subtraction to make more sense with this. You'll see why in a minute. And the next one I'm going to use for MU for multiplication. And actually, you know what? S2, because we have an S2. And if I start doing this will get too confusing for you. I think I'll just start with one. If I start throwing a bunch of variables out there, Ramel's head's going to spin too, I know. So I'm just going to use 24. We'll just use that. Sorry about that. So I'm going to say, since it's division, I'm going to call it DI for division, 24. 24, like that. Because we're going to use that order of operations. I'm going to skip a line here. I'm just a little fancy in how I do stuff here. And now we're going to use that same formula we used earlier, except we're going to trade off with a variable. And our variable is 24. So in place of 24, you want to type DI divided by 8, like that. Are you okay with that one, Ramel?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how it should look. Oops. I just ran the program that gave me the answer there. But that's how it should look. So what it's doing right now is it's taking a variable in place of the parenthesis that we were doing earlier for the 24. Now, here's what's cool about this. With a variable now, I could go in here and I could start changing this number. If I change it to 32, it might give us some weird answer on the result here, but it's going to change this whole calculation because now it's got a different answer in here. So now if I go here I'll show you how to run it. I didn't show you that yet. So type in RUN for run and hit enter, and you'll see it gave me a different number, 4. See, now it's basically whatever this number here is, it's playing with this number over here. So it's saying 64 divided by 8, and then it's going to do this calculation. Now if we run it, and enter answer. See what it's actually doing is it's raising it by the powers of a number. It's interesting how this came out too, because I love talking about this, because powers of number is what we learned about earlier on the exponents, and it's also how binary numbers work. I didn't plan that out. It just came out that way. So I guess I got lucky. So the next thing here we could do is we could use another higher number, which would be 128, as I know them in binary. And you run it again, and I think it'd be something like 16 maybe. 16, exactly as I thought. That's because it's raising them in powers of numbers. So it's going like this. Let's see, 4, 8, 16, 24, 32, 16, 120. Oh, I did that wrong. 64, 128. These are actually called, if I didn't put an extra one here, it's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I must have put an extra number in here somewhere. 1 times 2 times 2, 4. I got 9 in here, so I probably put the wrong number here somewhere. It's probably, somebody's probably going to throw it out to me. But anyways, what it's doing is it's calculating binary numbers on a chart here that you'll learn much later about whenever we want to create sprites, which are characters on the screen and stuff like that for games that you already see me do on YouTube. I'm working on the Game Masters, I'm sorry. I'm working on the basic marathon game right now, currently for the RPG. That's in session. Stuff like that. You could create sprites on the screen and stuff like that. But the whole point of this was just showing you how the variables can control that program. So I think that's pretty fancy. You could also go in here, now that you learned a little bit more about variables, you could go in here, you could swap out another number. Let's say we wanted to change out that number 10, for example. I'm just going to put MI, or you can even call it TE for 10 or something like that. It doesn't matter. As long as you're still following those rules, you're still good. I'm going to change that to 10. And we're going to go back. We're going to emulate our line. You just have to retype it like this, or you can use arrow keys to go back up. TE minus 5 times 2 plus, then we're going to do our DI divided by 8, which will do the exact same thing again. Now, if you look at it, it's just basically replacing variables. Now, for those who might be getting lost, just take a look, take a breather here for a second. All this is doing is it's taking the variable DI, which is equal to 128, which side's the value, and it's inserting it here in the parentheses where earlier we had placed the 24. And we were playing with the number. So we were playing with the number and changing it right here. And now that we changed our second variable, which you see is down here, we can start playing with this number and get some other funny results. Let's have some fun. Let's change this to 50. It's probably going to give us some negative numbers now, but let's just have some fun and see what we get here. Oh, interesting. We got 56. See, it's still following that order of operations, but now it's using 2 different variables to control an actual single print statement. So you could control an entire print statement with only variables. And it gets really cool after that. Once you're able to keep track of what the variables are doing, you can make cursors move around on the screen. You can make characters move around. That's why this is all important to get down, guys, because once you start understanding how variables work with the order of operations and all that, it'll all start connecting a lot of dots for you. This is why I like to teach it this way. I think it's important because the central concepts of programming are really taking the building blocks upon a building block to start, building bigger and bigger castles, so to speak. Okay. Did anybody have any questions? Did you have any questions, Ramel?
No.
Okay. I don't think anybody has ever dropped in our chat here, even though I put the link out there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to learn about probably one more thing here, and it's midnight, so we're going to have to be calling this because we both have to get up early here. I'm going to teach you about how to print individual words on the screen, as you saw me when you first saw the live stream load up and you saw a bunch of text on the screen. I'll show you how to print those kind of messages on your screen so you can start having some fun. So you type the word print, and this is going to print like after our crazy number here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little quote like that. So you can hit the shift key for your, it's next to the enter key on my keyboard there for the quote or the double quote. And you could just type in something. Just type in your name or whatever you want to do it. I'm just going to type C64 Basic Playground since that's what this is. But you can type anything you want. And then you want to close it with another one like that. And you want to hit Enter. Now, if we run it, you'll see it's going to print our number. And underneath that, it should say C64 Basic Playground. That's what it did.
Oops.
I'll list it again in case you need to see that.
10. Oh, okay.
I'm just going to throw something in the chat here. Say, anybody else does anyone else have any other questions? Just to kind of keep up with them too, because you know they're all watching us here too. Okay, next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to add a new line. I'm going to teach you another thing here. You can insert lines, and the reason why I skipped them by tens, I didn't explain this earlier, but later, once you start writing a program, you might want to go back inside of other lines and reinsert different lines to try to squeeze more stuff inside of there. And I do this a lot when I'm trying to debug something and try to work something out. I might stick like print commands in there and print values to figure out what are these crazy values doing and why is my sprite on the wrong side of the screen or whatever, you know? So in this example, I'm just going to type 65 and type a print by itself. If you remember earlier, that does a carriage return. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate that number from our message here. And if I run and type run again, you'll see that there's now a space between the top part here and our print command. That makes sense?
No. Now I'm kind of lost.
Why are you lost?
How come we have to put out such a... How do you know what number line to put it on? Or what?
You can stick it on any line, but what I did is I stuck it right underneath the line. They're going from top to bottom. All the way down from top to bottom. So we printed our number first, right? That's just right here.
Yeah.
56. It does a carriage return, which is this blank space you see right in here. And it just prints our line right after that. Does that make more sense?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I was trying to...
Tell me what's off. That's why this is called Basic Playground. Tell me what's going on.
I guess you got me. Wait. Let me try. Just never mind.
You want to share your screen?
If you want.
We can share her screen if you want.
Okay, now I'm starting out with a new screen. So now what?
Okay, so do you still have your screen turned up? I could pass it over to you, so I can see your screen.
I totally erased everything. I was trying to start over.
I'm gonna let you share your screen now. So if you go in the upper corner, you know how to share your screen. Remember you hover over there on the left-hand side, and you look for the green arrow. It'll say Screen Share.
On Google Hangouts? Maybe?
Yes, in Google Hangouts. Okay. Click that, and it opens up a little window, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now go ahead and share your screen so everybody can see it. Yeah, this is the kind of environment we'll be doing there.
Well, how come it has screen to type the screens now?
Okay, you might not be able to do it then because you're on one single screen. I didn't think about that. See, this is exactly why I need you to. Because what it's trying to do is it's trying to look inside of your camera, inside of another screen, another screen, another screen, and it's just emulating it. So it may not work unless you have two screens. But anyways, if you wanted to send me a screenshot, I could throw it up there for him or something. You know how to do a screenshot?
Now I'm seeing me.
Yeah, I'm going to put it back on the screen there.
Yikes.
I know. I'm trying to get it off there as fast as I can.
So put your screen back up there at your Vice one. So like if I just started typing what you were having.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too lost to know what to ask you.
Are you seeing this? Are you seeing what are you seeing?
Now I'm seeing my Vice screen and you.
Do you see this? Do you see this? This is all I'm doing is I'm going over here and I'm just pulling up I can't do it here. Let's say I cancel this. Over here, do you see this?
Look what I
You
can
see it,
do.
so right. Do you see the screen share where I am right now?
Uh,
Do you see
wait,
this moving? Do you see my mouse? Or are you just seeing me? And then you need to click on you.
no, I
Can you
see just
see?
you and my Vice screen.
Okay. Well, it may not work then. I was
Oh, wait,
trying.
is that yours? Go
Huh?
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was trying to help you to screen share. Um,
Don't worry about that.
okay. Well, I was gonna, because people are gonna want to know how to do it anyway. Because if you want to share your screen, you have to go over here and you have to click on the screen share like that, and then you have to click on the screen that you're going to be sharing
Oh,
like that. And then now I have it on a live screen environment, so I have your screen technically up now. You see how it's doing that?
yeah.
That's just because it was looking at 100 different screens on my camera screen. I have my first screen set to my camera. So this is the screen over here with the camera, right? So it's just looking inside of another screen, side of another screen. That's why it does that. But anyways, you said you had any questions about this?
So if I,
Feel free to ask questions. That's what this is all about. Open door policy.
yeah.
Dr. Phil, throw it at me.
Oh my gosh, it happened.
You got the result? What happened? Oh, you got the screen share?
I have no idea what I got.
Well, what did you say it happened? What do you mean by that?
One, two, well,
It's amazing. I didn't even advertise this. Also, remember, we had 7 people watching tonight. No advertisement. That's what YouTube does. So 7 people showed up without, me telling them about it. But I don't know if that includes both of us or not. So in the chat, though, it looks like there was 7 people here. So it's all right. But the whole point of this was to ask questions.
yeah.
And eventually, you guys, as I learned tonight, if you want to be able to share your screen, you're probably going to end up needing 2 monitors. If I'm wrong about that, anybody can throw that out to me, or if you have suggestions of how we could get around that, I appreciate that too. Because like I said, eventually I want to have it so that people can say, here's my screen, I'm stuck. What do I do? I don't understand this. So that people are very clear on what's going on. I don't want to just be me talking the whole time. I'd like to be able to get an engagement going on, which is why my friend Ramel here has joined me. But you guys will be able to join the Google Hangouts, and if you have your own microphone or whatever, we'll be able to talk to you and stuff like that. And interact. When I did game design with my friends several years ago, we did the same thing. We had like 7 different windows open. I kid you not, at one time I was talking to 7 different people, and we were all going back and forth sharing our screens. It was awesome. Okay, so somebody else said dual monitor is essential for OBS for sure. Yeah, he's right on that. So the dual, because he's right, because I'm using the OBS, it's basically locked it to one environment screen. So anyways, but you got the right answer, right, Romel, with the result?
What's the result?
Did right here. Did you get that? Does that show up on your screen when you run it?
Oh no, no.
I can listen again.
It sort of happened like that, and then.
Just type it exactly as I got it there.
Okay. Gonna wait.
If you guys get any errors too, let me know, because errors will happen if something's not typed in correctly, or if you for some reason type in something in place of a $sign, an S instead of a dollar. So after this, for example, after this CHR dollar, there's actually a $sign here. It's not an S, for those who might want to know. That's a common thing that can happen when you're programming. And believe me, not when you're typing in large programs like I used to back in the days. And if you take me way back, before they had disk drives, they had cassette recorders, and I had to save everything to cassette recorder. And I'd basically be typing in a long program. I'd type it in and run it, and it would not work correctly. And then, anyways, my point is, if you're not typing in the $ where it's a CHR, then it's got to. I'll show you, for example, what'll happen. You'll get an error down here, though. We'll do it right here. We'll try to clear the screen with CHRS 147. You'll see it'll give an error. Or actually, it might turn into an array. Let me see. Bad subscript error. That's telling me right now it's not defined as an array, which you'll learn about much later.
Okay, so for me to do what you're doing, do I type it, do I enter in from 56 going, or line, which line do you want me to start on?
Oh, you never typed them in?
Well, I did, but I didn't use what you put down.
Here, I'm just list the program right there so you can see it.
Oh, okay, there.
So it's catch-up time. You guys, you can ask me questions in the chat while she's going through that. Knows we might make it on 2 hours tonight. While she's doing that, just to kind of share some of the other stuff, back in the days when I was doing screen sharing with game design, we were doing game design. We were working on a semi-language game, which is a higher level language than BASIC. Actually, it's lower level because it's actually you're talking directly to the computer. We were working on an assembly language program, and back in those days, we would all be sharing a bunch of different screens and just interacting in just a giant live environment. And there's so much incredible information I was learning. And there was this guy, I'll never forget him. I think he was from New Zealand, if I try to remember, or Australia, if I remember correctly. His name was Siggy. Oh my gosh, when he started talking, I would get lost. He was so advanced in his stuff. So don't feel bad if you're behind, because trust me, when I got into him and he was talking, it was way over my head. I'm like, wait, what's he talking about now? But he was really educated, and he's done his semi-language programming. He used to do it on Amiga computers, and he had so much background that he really knew what he was talking about. So don't feel bad. If you need to ask questions, this is your time to ask questions in the chat. Ask away. That's what this is all about. It's open, the ball's in your court right now while we're waiting for her to type this in here for a second. I'm just over here trying to entertain you, because otherwise you're just staring at a screen. For those who are not doing anything else, wondering what's going on, I could go over here and play with the screen colors if you want. You can change I didn't show you all that. You could also cycle through all the border colors here too.
Oh no. Wait.
And don't let me forget to tell them, Ramon, how to save. You'll learn that too. It's really important to learn how to save your program. And much later, while she's still doing it, you're going to learn. I'll just kind of throw that out there. You'll learn about loops. What you just saw me do is go through and change the border several different times in a row. A loop is basically taking a bunch of variables and stringing them together and repeating them over and over again. And with a loop, you can do all kinds of cool. You can have a program that's actually running inside of itself, which we'll learn about later. There's something called a go-to loop, but I don't want to throw too much at one time because it can be overwhelming for new people. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. I know I probably went a little bit overboard here tonight, but I was trying to keep up with Ramel because she's a little bit ahead of her game now, and maybe, wanted to introduce a little bit more because we had some technical issues.
Okay, so the poke, after the poke 53, that one?
You don't need that. That was just a demonstration.
So after ready, then what? I press.
You just type run.
Oh.
And hit enter. And you should get 56.
Mm. But how come? Oh.
Ask away.
Oh, look at that.
Did you get the answer?
No. I'm just trying to figure out how to get it all entered in right. You can go on.
I may have to have you share your screen with me somewhere here. Let me teach you how to share a screen, and you could send it to me maybe by email or something. Go to your start menu.
Wait.
Type the word snip, S-N-I-P. You see that?
Oh.
And you should see snipping tool. Do you see snipping tool?
No, I'm figuring out how to erase stuff I don't want.
Just erase everything in your, comes up in the search result, just type the word snip, like a pair of scissors snipping.
Okay, now where is that?
It's going to be in your start menu. That's at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen with your Windows. So you got the snipping tool up?
Steve.
You should have it up. It's built into Windows. This will be good practice. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. What I wanted to do is I wanted to see your screen, see what's going on, try to help you out. Because this is good practice for other people getting stuck. Because I think what eventually people will have to do is send me their screenshots or something until we figure out how to make this all work.
Well, now I'm getting mixed up.
Well, here's what it's going to look like once you load it. It'll look like this little window right here. You see that snipping tool?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. Just type in the word snip, S-N-I-P.
Done search?
In your Windows at the bottom of the screen here. You see my, you probably might not, you see where my mouse is down here?
I'm doing it. Okay, snipping tool.
Yeah, open that up. Now when you do, you're going to get a white screen like this, right? And you can move it out of the way. And all you want to do is you want to highlight around the area of the window where you're copying. And it should do that.
Oh, wrong one.
I'll do it again if you need. So click on new. I'll put it back on the screen. People can see it. Just type in new there. It'll turn your screen white, and you just essentially you're just highlighting around the area you want to copy. And you're left clicking, you're holding your mouse down and dragging it down like that. What happened? Didn't work for you?
No.
If you want to send it to me later, you can, but I wanted to demonstrate at least for them.
Go on. Just you can go on.
Yeah, I wanted to try to keep everybody on key and everything, but at the same time, I wanted to see what was wrong. I don't want to leave anybody behind, especially you. Is you're not getting the result. What happens when you run your program? What are you getting?
I think it's just a matter of me learning how to enter it in right.
What's happening? Explain it to me.
Well, I typed it in like how you have it.
You type the enter after each one. So you would type a number like this. I'll demonstrate over here. And you would type like that and hit enter. If I wasn't explaining that correctly, I just added a new line there.
I don't know.
You're typing in the number at the very end. All you're doing is you're hitting enter each time to type in the next line each time. I'll go ahead and send you the screenshot, by the way. So you can play with that, and then we'll move on to them. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let me email that to you. First, I got to make a copy of it. I could probably put it in the Facebook window. Can you get it by doing the Facebook?
Yeah, but I'll be able to watch this again on
YouTube. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I put it in your Facebook window there.
Okay.
If you want to click on it there, you'll be able to see it. You got it?
I got it.
Okay. So while she's working on that, we can move into some other stuff here. So I'm watching the time here. We're at 88 minutes here. We could probably go 2 hours. I didn't want to go that long, but it looks like, are you okay with that, Ramel? We go to 1 o'clock?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Because reason why is here's really what's happened after hours. After hours, more people start showing up because my channel is very popular overseas more than anything. So if like people would ask me like, why wouldn't you broadcast at this certain time? I'm like, because I'm in bed at that time. So what I used to do is I used to stay up late, all hours of the night, just to get everybody. And I met some really cool people. But it'd be time for me to go to bed, and people would be, like going to sleep over there, or or they're getting off of work or whatever. Hours vary all over the world, right? So time zones. So anyways, I wanted to go back to our program here. And since we learned about the poke commands, I don't want to overdo it. I'm going to add our poke commands in here as well. So I'm going to use line 15. We're going to change that, and we're going to throw in some poke commands here. And we'll change the screen color. I'm going to use, let's see. I guess I could keep the same one here. And then we're going to use our poke 646 command here too. And I'm going to change this one to a 7. And watch what happens when I run it. See how I totally changed everything? It's now accumulating everything in its memory that we just told it to. I inserted a line 15, and it's now changing the border color, and it's changing the screen background color, which is the background here, and it's the border color, of course. And it's changing the text color to 7, which is yellow. So you could tell the computer to do it. You could also go down here, and if you insert it in another line, for example, I could change this line to a different color. Watch, I'll show you. I'll put in line 75, and I'll type 646, 13, which is kind of like a green color. Now watch, you'll see the number 56 appear in yellow, and then the text should appear in green if I'm correct, just like I indicated. So now you're telling the computer to change back and forth between different colors. Your Commodore 64 has the ability to keep changing all these different colors. You see me change them there? As you hold down the tab key and you press a number and hold it down, you'll see it change colors. That's how you can also change your colors instead of using the poke command. So try it. Hold down your tab key and press like the number 2, and you'll see white. And as you press them, you'll see different colors. Now you can also hold down your control key, and you can do the same, and you're going to get more colors. If you go too far, you're going to get reverse. So I have to turn off my reverse here. I have my reverse on to be turning off. Okay. Reverse is if you're typing in, holding down control and hitting number 9, that turns on reverse. Actually, do it again. Oh, maybe it's the other one. Let me see. Maybe. Oh, it's actually the tab 9. That's right. There's tab 9 right there. That's reverse, called inverse. I typed reverse. It's actually inverse. Sorry. Inverse mode. So it's kind of fancy. You could use that for titles and stuff like that. And you just hit the tab key and 0, and it turns off the inverse mode. So kind of cool stuff. We also did learn about AXI a little bit, so we could probably throw in some AXI in here. Let's go back to our little chart here and see what else we could play with here. We could essentially, we have access to all these different AXI characters from 0 to 255. And I was trying to see if I could get them both on the same screen here. This is only showing the first set, or the second set of numbers. Yeah, this is the second set of numbers. These are the F1 keys. You can see there's different ones down here. So let's say if I wanted to change the color to blue, that's 154. So we'll go down here. We're going to type in a new line. I'll just say 90. And I'm going to type print till I get another line down just to kind of keep it clean. And we'll just type in some more and say, watch this color change. But before we do that, I did it like that. Whoops. Need to get my thing on there. And I'm going to put 95. I'm just teaching you so you could go back and insert lines in. And I'm going to type in, was it 154? Go back and look at it again. For the blue was 154. So we're going to type in print CHR string, remember, not the S, 154. Now you'll see my new colors. There's going to be 3 different colors on the screen. Watch. Oh, I must have did something wrong. Let's see what I do wrong. Oh, wait, it took out my thing. Okay, hold on. It didn't save my line. Okay, let's do it again.
So if you type list and then you press enter, then it'll bring up what you already put down before.
Yeah, I forgot to put it in there. That's why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever you type in list will always show it's on the screen. See, now it's in 3 different colors. Because what we're doing is we're accessing, if you look in the order here, we're first using the poke command to access the memory location. 646, and I didn't demonstrate it here. So I'm going to go to live screen promote to show you where's all this strange poke, weird stuff you're talking about. I'm going to switch to my camera view here for a moment. And show you. This is a book I have. Is that backward or is that frontward?
It's good.
Backward. It is. It's backward for me. But this is the map of the Commodore 64. This holds all the memory locations and tells you what those poke statements are doing. So if I go here to poke 646 here, which is on page, it's on page 55 here. And this is how I used to do it back in the days, but this is a terrible way to do it, I know. But right there, is that upside down?
No.
It's upside down for me. It's kind of weird. But anyways, right there, can you see that? Yeah, it's backward for me because of the way my camera's interpreting it. And it's also like I'm trying to get it in between the camera. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold it straight. So you see what it says right there? What's it say?
646.
Read, what does it say there? Just read the label.
Color.
See, that's changing the text color. And therefore, likewise, in this book, if I go to 53280, you'll see that that's the one for the border color. But does that make a little bit more sense when I showed you that?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the border color, and it says I figured out how to hold my book straight again. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And look, what does it say?
Which one? Location range?
53280.
I can't read it. It's kind of blurry. But
Oh, you can't? I'll put up the PDF. I just wanted to show you. It's basically the border color. Oh, there. Can you see it now?
border color register.
And what does 53281 say?
Background color.
So that's exactly what we were doing. We were playing with the border color and we were playing with the background colors. So this book is your guide to the Commodore 64. It will take you anywhere you want to go, backward and forward, whatever language you're writing in on the Commodore 64. And it is a key to have it. Now, you don't have the book, right? Because the book is very rare. What you can do is you can access it online. But I won an eBay auction many years ago, and I won about 30 books on a Commodore 64 for about $100. It was a steal, but that's pretty much because I did steal it. So anyway, I used a program that bid on top of bidders, basically, because I really wanted the order. I didn't care. So anyway, just being silly there. But I'm going to show you, go into Google. You can see my screen again, right? Oh, no, you're still seeing me. Let me go back to the screen. So people are like, wait, I'm seeing you. I'm not seeing the screen. Yeah, right. Gotcha. So are you still with me, Ramel?
Yeah, I'm right with you.
You've got my screen there now?
Google, then.
Okay. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in mapping the Commodore 64 PDF. Got that?
Okay.
And hit enter. And there's going to be several different ones here. I don't really have one I could tell you to choose, but you could go down through them. But there is one here. I could just get to this one, and it'll load it on the screen there. It'll take a while to load it. And this is going to allow you to have access to that book. Personally, I prefer the book because I can instantly just open it up and add to scroll through 100,000 things. But for those who don't have it, they'll have access to the PDF. See it?
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the chat too. I'll put it in Facebook if you need it. You want me to send it to Facebook for you? Or I could send it to this chat right here too, of course. Yeah, let me just do that. I'll put it in your chat since you're in my chat. Got it?
Actually, I was about to bring it up on Google.
Okay. I put it in the YouTube chat, and I also put it in your chat so that people would have access to it. Somebody else put another link in. Oh, somebody else was putting in something totally different. I'm going to see what he put in here. Oh, he found another link to it. Cool. Thank you very much. So this is a link that somebody else found for me here. Oh, no, that was the link I put in there. Okay, I thought somebody else put it in there. Okay, that was mine. Okay, anyways, Yeah, that's the link to the map in the Commodore 64. And all you have to do is you hit your L keys here, and you can scroll through it. You can have access. And if you want to spend your time looking at that, guys, this is a really good. Now, there's going to be a lot of stuff. We were talking about binary earlier, and this is what I was trying to show you. I'll show you this as an example. These are the power of the numbers I was talking about earlier. And you saw we went 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 2 is 8, right? And these are the binary numbers I was talking about earlier, and I added 24 when there was no 24 there. So these are the powers of a number that make up what's called a byte. A byte, basically, if you want to read through it, basically we'll learn about that later, but a byte is going to be a basic row of digits that your computer is keeping track of memory. So when you saw me type in this poke 646, comma, let me just pick a different number here.
Originally,
10,
it was
for example, right there, that's this number right here, this 10 is a byte. And basically it's broken down and these are called bits. What was you saying, Bruno?
originally it's 1495. You see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it is. I said, I got to steal. I got $100 for 30 books.
Wow.
So it was a really good deal. Yeah, I have stacks of them around here. Probably more than that. It's probably like 40 bucks. And yeah, I've been pretty blessed. I have all these Commodore 64 stuff, monitor. You might have saw that when I had the screen up earlier, but yeah, I'm a Commodore 64 fanatic. What can I say? So anyways, this is what I was talking about. These are the bits of the number, and I won't go too far because this is going to get a little bit more technical for people who are going to get lost here. But this is what I was doing earlier. Is we were raising numbers to the power. If you remember earlier down here when we were saying 2 to the power of a number, let's say 2 to the power of 8 like that, which is actually that's a bad example. Let me 2 to the power of 4 actually. 2 to the power of I would say 2 to the power of I do something wrong here. 7, 6. I think it's 2 to the power of 6. I'm just trying to think here. 2 to the power of 6 is 64. Actually, we can do 2 to the power of 7. 2 to the power of 7 would be the total that I'm looking for. Because there's 7. There's 0 to 7, which is 0 to 7, or 8 bits that we're trying to accumulate here. So if I go, anyways, 2 to the power of 7, it's 128. So essentially on here, it's just say 2 to the power of 2, to the power of 2, to the power of 2, power of 2, power of 2, power of 2 is 128. Or if you remember here earlier, let me turn off my color here to put it back on the white again. 2 times, wait, my time's not working. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is, oh, I left off one there. That's 64, one you saw earlier. Times one more is 7. It's 128. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 digits here, which makes up our whole 128 number. And you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are 8 bits that's making up an actual number. But this starts at 1. So would it be 2 to the power of 2? It starts at 0, but it's basically saying 2 times 1 is 2. And then it goes 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. And 64 times 2 is 128. But this is going to get a little bit more advanced, so I won't go into a whole lot of this detail because it'll make your head pop off and let you know what you're talking about. But that's kind of how the book starts. But you can go through here and you can start looking at different memory locations if you wanted to, if you're just curious. So a lot of the stuff here you probably won't mess with the 0 page. That's for more advanced people. But later you'll get into what's called the VIC chip, which is how you create sprites and stuff like that. And then you'll be able to, I think it's right here somewhere. Let's see. I'm still in ROM here. Let me get out of the kernel ROM and get to the down here, right here. I'm trying to get to the start. Right there it is. Okay, right down, right there. The VIC2 SID devices, and this is where you would get into creating sprites. This is going to create sprites on the screen, which we'll learn about much later. And this is what a sprite is made up of. You just see all these dots and stuff like that. That's essentially all it is these are just binary digits. And these are actually laid in 3 rows, so they'll get a little confusing. But basically, it was taking those bits I was showing you earlier and stacking them side by side to create a sprite. And it's accumulating. So it's basically taking 8 times 3 times the total down here just to make up one sprite. So, but that's how you make graphics on the screen. And we'll learn about that later. But if you want to just kind of play with it, you can kind of learn a lot about your Commodore 64 kind of just looking at this. But we'll get into it. It's just going to take time. And eventually, like I said, I'll have a better announcement, and I'll start these. I think what will eventually happen here, and also remember, it's just going to become a consistent thing. I want to try to get people on board where they're watching every week. As I've learned, like even for people who are on Twitch, if you keep something consistent, people will keep coming back. So with my high expectations, I'm hoping and anticipating that we'll get a lot more people over time, right? Does that make sense? I feel like there's powers of numbers, right? As you keep accumulating, those powers are going to get bigger and bigger, and people are going to maintain their interest, because now you're like, it's like watching a television program, as I've learned. So I want to try to keep that up, even though I didn't want to do it tonight, but I got it working. I'm glad I did. But these are sprites right here, for example. You guys are still seeing my screen. Are you still seeing it and everything?
I do.
Okay, I hope I'm not like looking at me or something. That'd be kind of weird. But anyways, these are sprites, and this is how you turn on a sprite, and you remember the bits. This is basically turning on the bits of a sprite, and it goes from sprite 0 to 7. Horizontal fine scrolling, that's a little bit more advanced. We won't get into that right now. This is multicolor. You guys who are watching my other videos on the basic marathon, this is what I was doing. I was playing with multicolors to make graphics, really cool graphics, which is what the Commodore 64 is all about, multicolor graphics. And then down here, you get into interrupts. That's a little bit more advanced. We probably may not get into that for a good long time, because that's more high-level language, or the lower level, so to speak, the computer's language. And then you'll see there's basic programs here. You can also type in these basic programs. You can learn from them. So, but what I wanted to do before I forget here, I wanted to introduce that. I'm going to turn this aside. As I mentioned earlier, I'm keeping track of everything. I wanted to show you how to save a program now, because you're like, I hate to like come here next week and people are like, I lost that entire program. I'm like, daggone it, why didn't I teach you how to save it? So fortunately, I was able to remember that. So now to save it, what we have to do first is we have to create a special directory called a disk directory. To do that, you want to go to your file menu. And I might need to zoom this one in so that they can see this, because it's going to get really small. I don't know if I can make it bigger. But anyways, are you with me on this one, Ramel? Yeah. Okay, you want to go to File. And then you're going to see something called Attach Disk Image. All right, do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you want to go to Drive 8 and hit Enter, and then you should get this pop up. Let me know once you get that.
I'm writing it down, so go ahead, go.
Okay, you're writing it down. Well, I was hoping you would follow me, but that's fine if you're not. And down here, what we're doing is we're looking inside of one of my directories right now. I'm going to save it here because I keep everything in my disk directory, but you can put it in any directory you want. If you remember earlier, you had your Vice. You could stick it in your Vice. I could go down here. Let's say if I want to stick it in my Vice. I'll just have to move it later. Since I showed them that earlier, I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in the Vice Simulator BP right here for the basic playground. And I'm just going to call it Basic Playground. I'm just going to call it Basic Playground 1. Essentially, this is 1. The last one was a failed video. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on Create Image at the bottom. It's going to create a disk image here for me, if I've done this correctly. Yep, here it is. You'll see above here, it'll say Basic Playground. All you have to do is you have to click on it. And once you click on it down here in the image contents window, you'll see it'll show a little directory down here. And it'll say 664 blocks free. So you're going to be able to write this to the disk image that this computer, this emulator is keeping track of on your Commodore 64. Essentially, I could go grab a disk drive and show people a disk drive here real quick. Just like knock it over. I wanted to show you that. I'm going to show you that in a minute here, but I'm very visual, so I like to kind of show things off. And anyways, I'm going to go ahead and click on Attach here so that we can go ahead and attach this directory to this program so we could save it in this disk image. Now, if we click on Attach, you'll see, you won't see anything change. You might see it, all it says down here, attach basic playground 1.d64 to device number 8. Now it's successfully attached. Now we have to do is we have to type in a new command called save, if you're writing that down. And you're basically going to make up a name for the program. You don't want to have too many characters in it. It has a limit. I don't know how many characters off the top of my head. Somebody wants to throw that in the chat, that's fine. But there's only so many you can type in here, and it's going to start cutting off. So I always learned to make them short. I think it's like 16 characters. So since it's basic playground, I'm just going to call it basic playground, something like that, 1. So I can keep track of them in order. And you want to do it with the comma 8 after it, because if you remember earlier when you saw it down here, it's attaching it to what's called device 8, which I could show you here, and you can learn it on my website. It's basically assigning a switch on the disk drive that I'm holding in my hand here to point to the correct slot that it's saving it to. And I probably didn't explain that very well, but it's basically saving it to a disk drive that's assigned to switch or device 8. It's called device 8 essentially. And I'm just going to go hit enter here, and you'll see it for a second. It'll pause. It'll say saving, and then it'll stop in a minute here. Okay, stop. Now we're going to learn about a new command here. I'm going to teach you how to, now that we've saved it, and before we save it, let's make sure it is saved, because I'd hate to have to lose all this. So we're going to go here to our file menu. We're going to go to our attached disk image again, and we're going to go to drive 8, or you can also use the Alt 8 key for those people who want to do the shortcuts. Open it back up. You'll see our little directory. It's going to remember where your last directory folder was open. You just click on it, and you can't see it, but if you look down here at the bottom, you'll see it was saved here, and it says 1 next to it. That's just telling you the number of sectors that saved it. And you'll notice the 664 dropped by 1. It's now 663 blocks free, because it basically subtracted 1 right off the top of that. And now, if you attach it there, it's been saved to memory here. So I'm going to say I'm okay with it. It's saved. I'm going to take a chance on it. And I'm going to teach you now something new. We're going to go ahead and erase our program. Just type in new. Now, to make sure it's gone, you can type in list, and you'll see it's really gone. Now, I'm going to clear your screen here just to show you that we really have nothing in memory, because you see now, if I type in list, it's gone. Now, technically, from an advanced level, it's not really gone. It just moved a pointer in memory to make you think it's gone, but it's written in an underside of memory. But the computer will start overriding that area later. That gets a little bit more advanced, but I wanted to let you know it's not technically gone. There is a way to get it back, but we'll just say from basic standpoint, it's gone. Now we're going to look at what's called the disk directory, as we learned earlier about the directory. Type in the load command and hit that little quote after it. You remember our famous $sign. We're going to do that. End it with a quote, and we're going to say comma 8. Am I going too fast for you, Rumel?
Probably.
I'll have to send you like all these instructions later. But what I'm going to get a habit of is, you know my website, right, Rumel?
Yeah.
64brain.com. I'll put this all on the website, and you'll be able to follow it step by step, because what I do is I'll watch the video and take it step by step as I did it and break it down for people. And then you're just going to type, going back to this, the load string, comma 8, and hit enter. You'll see it says searching for $sign. It says loading, ready. Now, if I type in list, watch this. There it is, right? Now if we still type in list here, we'll say, okay, it's there, but where's my program? What it's done is it's stored it in a disk image file that is essentially being stored. Technically, if you looked at my, I wanted to show you that in a minute here, but if I screen shared here with you, put my video back on, there's a Commodore 64 disk drive I have in my hand here. You're saving it to a floppy disk. Remind myself, I'm going to try to explain that here in a second, so I don't forget what I'm doing here. So I'm going to show you how to recover it next. Now we're going to type in, you can just type in enter to see me down here. I'm going to type in load string and or quote, and we're going to type in BASPLAY or whatever you called it, comma 8, and you'll see it'll say loading or searching for BS player GR1, loading, ready. And then now if you type in list, our program's back.
Wow.
So it stored it in a disk image file, and you can always get it back there. So you could write, this is why you see me writing really long programs and going on to many, many different programs, because I'm storing them on disk image files, and I'm just pulling them back up every time I want to introduce them to YouTube, whatever. Now for the moment of truth, I'm going to share my screen here. Or where's my camera? And show you what I was talking about. Can you see this?
Okay.
This is a Commodore 64 disk drive. This sucker's heavy. Inside of here, I actually have a floppy disk This floppy disk stores information. So what you just saw on the screen is exactly what we did. We stored information on a floppy disk like this, technically, in the emulator, and we essentially just inserted it into the drive like that, technically in the emulator there. And as we type in that command, it basically turns on the light here on the drive, which is on this side. I can just see what I'm looking at here. And that's going to load the program's directory to pull the information off the disk drive, which, as I mentioned earlier, there's switches on the back here that control that device you saw earlier, which you can switch out. I think this one has a switch setting. I have to look at it to see what I'm doing here, but this one might not even have switches on it. But some of them have where you can control the device switch settings. This one apparently does not. But that's what we're doing is we're storing the Commodore 64's program in memory on a disk drive and just storing it on a floppy disk. That's how you had to do it back in the old days. Now, what I was talking about very earlier is I have one over there in the corner if I go grab it, but it's basically a cassette recorder. In the very beginning, before disk drives, I couldn't afford a disk drive, so I actually had to store everything on something that looked like a tape recorder, which is actually a cassette recorder, and it would take forever to load that program. I kid you not. One time I typed a program, it took me 1 hour to type this program in because I was basically pecking all over the keyboard trying to find out where all the keys were because I wasn't a very good typist. And after I typed this program in and I saved it, and I hoped it was there, right? I went to go run it, and guess what? It was gone. 1 hour work was gone forever. So that was the bummer of having a cassette recorder versus a disk drive. A disk drive is more reliable, and of course, an emulator is even more reliable, right? We could trust it. Emulators, more than often not, it's going to save your program. So I'll go back to the screen share. I just want to kind of introduce that to you guys. Hopefully that made sense. Did that make sense? Okay.
I guess.
Everybody else is probably like, what? Okay. Well, hopefully, if anybody else wants in the chat, explain to people what I just explained, that's fine. Just go ahead and throw it out to them. I appreciate you guys throwing out your feedback, and MC Harambe Gaming, I appreciate your feedback so much, and everybody else that's joined us. Thank you for joining us. So we learned how to go ahead and save the program to disk now. Introduce you, to the disk drive, showing you how it all works back in the days. But the Commodore 64 emulator is very reliable, but I was going to show you there's another way. Once you have a computer saved in memory, you can verify to make sure it's saved by typing in the word verify, and then you would need to type in the name of that program, which I know I forgot what it was already, so I'm going to have to go ahead and reload it here. And actually, I won't have to do that. I can just go to the disk image and just grab the file here. That's the nice thing about emulator. Now, back in the days, you had to actually load the program. Just look up it here. It's BS Play GR1. Okay, BS Play GR1. Okay, so I'm going to say verify. BS Play GR1 like that, comma 8. And you'll see it's going to verify to make sure it was saved. If it says okay, that means it was successfully saved. He wrote more than 64K worth. Bringing back so many memories. Yeah, I know. Isn't the Commodore 64 awesome? The Commodore 64 was the best-selling computer in its generation. For those who don't know, at one time, the Commodore 64 was selling all over the world. It was the #1 company, and nobody could top it. And even for those who don't know, and I don't want to slam Nintendo, but I'll never forget the day that Nintendo, just got to take a little brief break here for a minute. My nephews were playing with the Nintendo 64, and I still had the Commodore 64, and guess who had the better graphics? Haha. No, seriously, the Commodore 64 had better graphics than the Nintendo 64. I kid you not. It was using a different type. And if you don't believe me, go watch the 8-Bit guy on YouTube. He'll explain it a little bit better. But it really was able to utilize better on its multicolors. Now, of course, Nintendo had more sprites you could access and stuff like that. And it had kind of, had its catch-all. But the Commodore 64 had better graphics. It also had better music. But he'll explain that better if you want to watch 8-Bit guy on YouTube. He's really awesome, and he'll teach you a lot of stuff. But anyways, I'm glad you guys were enjoying this session. Sounds like people were like, oh, somebody just wrote, he wrote, no single computer model has ever sold more. Isn't that an interesting thought? Yeah, you think about all the other computers like the Apple computer, the Tandy computer, the Radio Shack's computer, the Coco. I remember my friend had a Coco. There were so many other different computers out there. I had an Atari 65XE. Any of those computers did not even compete with the Commodore 64. It was so popular, it was being utilized by everybody. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this session here. I think we've hit pretty close to 1 hour here. So it's 119 minutes. So we're almost at the 120-minute mark here. So I'd say this is pretty much time to wrap it up because we're barging on pretty close here to 1 o'clock in the morning. And there's commitments to be made tomorrow. I would love to stay on longer. I think this has been a really fun session. Do you have anything you wanted to contribute, Ramel, or anything you wanted to add or say?
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment. How did you find the course? Was it confusing? Do I need to work on anything?
No, I'm just the kind of person now I need to go back and watch the video or watch the YouTube show and I figure things out. Because I learn on my own too, right? So I can take my time and.
That's a good point. Everybody has their own learning style and their own. It's better to learn sometimes learn on your own. Good point. And it depends on what background you come from. Now, me, I have a pretty strong background. I didn't really introduce myself because we were stuck into technical issues at the beginning. But I go back to 1986, and actually 1986 is when I got my very first Atari 65XE computer. I was only 18 years old at the time. I know I probably don't look my age, but believe me, I was 18 at the time. And I got my first computer. I remember I bought it at a store that doesn't exist anymore called Children's Palace. Toys R Us later took them over. I bought my first computer there, and I couldn't afford a disk drive, but I bought my $99 computer. And then later, when I first bought my computer, I also didn't mention I didn't even have a recording device. So I was typing programs over and over again. Every time I come home, I had to type in the whole program over and over again. I wasn't a great typist, so that's another story. But then much later, after I started getting better, eventually one of my friends had a Commodore 64. I saw my neighbor. There's a good story. I'll put it on a link here if you want to watch it, read about an article I wrote on my website where I first saw the Commodore 64 computer at my friend's house. I'll admit I was jealous when I saw this thing. I was like, wow. He had Ghostbusters playing. I'm like, dude, I'm like stuck with Atari and you got like Commodore 64. Yeah, I was pretty, I was intrigued by it because Commodore 64 had some pretty state-of-the-art graphics. Now, I know it can't compare to today's computers, but we had to start somewhere, right? And the Commodore 64, it's still going strong, by the way. There are people on YouTube, and there are people actually on Limit 64 and other websites out there that are actually creating real Commodore 64 software and games. There's a website out there called Cytronics that actually will take a game once you have completed it, and they'll put it on a cartridge for you. So Commodore 64 is still very strong, and there's still a lot of good connections. You can still connect with people out there that are still using it. But a lot of people probably these days in front of YouTube watching video games and, blogs or whatever, people's lives, whatever crazy stuff you're watching. So I'm a very small minority on YouTube. I always like to say at the end of my video, I appreciate you guys if you can subscribe to my channel to help me out. I've been on YouTube since around 2009. I started when nobody was even touching the Commodore 64. At that time, there was probably only one other video I saw in there for Commodore 64, and he didn't have any other content. He only had one video out there, and he hadn't updated in like years or whatever. But I thought this was a good market to get on, and I love the Commodore 64, and I wanted to kind of go from there. But I first didn't start with the Commodore 64, to be honest. I started with the Atari because it was my passion. Eventually, I moved toward the Commodore 64. And now it's full Commodore 64 all the way. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Look forward to doing this each Friday at 9:45 p.m. And now that we got everything working, we should be good there. That's Mountain Standard Time, by the way. I'm in Arizona. And it'll be 9:45 p.m., assuming that no other technical difficulties arise. But I think we should be okay because I've got notated what my mistakes were and how to keep this consistent. Because I want to have this, like I said before, I want to have it like a consistency that's going on week after week, where eventually exponentially we start growing. That's my dream. And if you guys have any suggestions, I always appreciate that. Throw it in the comments, opinions, everything. I want to hear everything. I want to know what I've done. Critique me. I'm totally okay with that. I want to learn as you guys want to learn. And we're all in this together. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Any questions, you could reach out to me directly at my website, and I'll put that in the link here if you need to. I always forget to put this too. I'm going to pull this up on another screen here. I have a separate chat window I created here. where people can actually reach me directly on my website. I should have been better prepared for this. I wasn't off for this one. But anyways, I'm going to pull it up here, and I'm going to put that in the chat before we go here, so that people can reach out to me and send me messages. I think that's kind of fair for people who want to know what's going on and stuff like that. Okay, I'm just going to go to my videos. But I stuck it on my other video right here. Pause that, and I'll grab the link. Good thing I put it in there, so I don't have to go into my hosting account and actually log into it to get to it. But here's where you can directly contact me live on YouTube. Right there. So go ahead and send me feedback. I appreciate that very much. And you guys have yourself a wonderful day wherever you are. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning here, so we have to call this a night. And my neighbors can be stomping his feet if I don't. So I appreciate it. And thank you, Ramel, for joining us. And we'll keep this going and see where it goes. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for watching.